Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I will be giving some commentary on a Vanguard vs Infernal game. This is versus a 2200 MMR Infernal player. So starting off, same as all the other matchups, we're going to be sending our scout across the map. In this matchup specifically, we're looking for a few things. Some people like to take camps with the Hexen, others like to send it directly across the map to try and harass workers. So we're going to send our scout across the map. Some people even leave their Hexen at home to deal with the harassment. That's not that common though. So our scout's going to take a look in, and it's going to see if they're going for Vault first, or Conclave first, or Shrine first. In this case, my opponent's going to be going for Shrine first here. You can see he's sent down 2 imps. The dog just doing a little bit of delay, and I, on the other side, am going to be going for a CC first as well. This is subject to change during early access, but at no point are you really in danger when going Command Center first as Vanguard versus Infernal specifically. So you can see my dog here. I'm also going to be trying to get some resources. The resources on this map specifically are always mirrored, so when it's up in the top left, it'll always be in the bottom right. I get a lucky find here. I was taking a look for the resource, but I managed to find the Fiend, and so I'm going to pick up this camp. So, my opponent's going for second Shrine, and there's the Vault. I'm going to be putting down my barracks. I'm going to be going into Bioplay. I think Bioplay is the strongest currently versus Infernal players. It allows for lots of mobility and lots of engagements as long as it's pulled off properly. Typically, the order in which you want to have your units is you want to have Lancers up front, and then Vulcans or any other mech units, Hedgehogs included. Atlases go further in the back. Then you want to have your Exos and your Medtechs. They're kind of together. Maybe your Medtech's a little bit in front. And then you want to have, like I said, your very ranged units like the Atlas. So you can see I just found a resource there in the bottom right, which means it's also up in the top left. So I'll be sending my dog up there in a second. My opponent's doing a bit of scouting here. Based on what I've seen with the Shrine opener, I'm not in a rush to get units. When Infernal opens Shrine, it's very hard for them to get units out quickly. So my opponent's going to go for a second Vault here. And 2 Vaults are very good versus Lancers, but they're not that great versus Exos. So you'll see eventually I kind of pick up on what's going on, and it's very important to get that scout in as frequently as you can without losing it, to ensure you know how many production buildings they have, whether they're going economic or if they're building a lot of units, where the army is and how big it is. You can see me struggling to get my dog to get that resource because I was macroing at home. How Bio works, at least in terms of the frigate playtest, was 1 base is 1 barracks, sometimes 2 if you're all in. 2 base is 3 barracks, and then if you go for a 3rd base, you go up to 5 barracks. And during that time, in between the 2nd and 3rd base, you want to throw down your mech bay so that you can get access to Vulcans. And during your 3rd base, while you're getting your economy, you're going to be going up into your machine shop so that you can get Atlas. You can see my dog gets in, he sees 2 Vaults, expansions, and he saw imps being made. He saw them going down to the ramp. He's trapped here, but he's seen everything he needs to, including the Hexen and the Brute on that side of the map. That's everything I need to know. I've got my biokinetics lab up and running, and now I'm going to start producing Exos. And because I've seen it's only 2 Vault, I know there's no amount of army he can have that I can't fight. So I'm going to go out on the map myself, and I'm going to start taking camps at the exact same time as my Infernal opponent. As I mentioned in the last commentary, it's very important to be out on the map. You have to be taking camps, you have to be active. The vision, the health, the resource, they're all very important. The speed as well. These are all things that will help improve your gameplay. If you've got map control, you can't be scared and sitting at home. It's very important as you get your workers up and running and as you get your macro going that you're also out on the map. It can be hard to focus on all that stuff, but it's a very important part of growing your skill. So for Therium specifically, you're going to notice that the Infernal player is throwing down a lot more Conclaves, That's because in Frigate there wasn't that much cost for the gaunts. They only cost 5 Therium. I'm going to be slowly opening up my second Therium here. When going bio, it's not that important to get your second Therium up immediately. Typically, you want to get it after you've had full saturation on your other bases. So on the main base, you saw I had 4 there, and when the time is right, I'm going to be sending over another 4 to the second one. These 4 workers here are going to be going for my third base expansion, and again, that's just based on the information that I've seen. A lot more production buildings are going down, but I still think I'm able to take the fight. So now you can see he's at 2 volt, and that would be 5 conclaves. I've remade a scout here, and that's an important thing. If you're lacking information, it never hurts to remake the scout and send it back across the map. In this case, I use the Howl ability to check if the Infernal player has taken the middle expansion. He is not. So I'm going to be going down to the third base location, what I think is the third base location, and I'm going to see nothing there. And initially that's sending alarm bells. But I can see from where the units are coming from that perhaps he's taken the alternate third base location. So I'm going to send my scout up there and take a look. You can see I'm starting to add on a few more workers onto my Therium, and very shortly I'll be sending up my additional workers to that second Therium. And that's because I want to go Vulcan as well with this play. My mech bay just got done, so after the rest of the workers make for that Luminite there, you can see 10 out of 12, I'm going to start to get ready to send them over. Vulcans, they cost 125 Therium, so you're going to need a bit more in addition to the Exos that you're making and the Lancers, and soon you're going to need Medtechs, and they have research, and that's expensive. An important note, always have solar habitats next to your important structures. That is research buildings or mech bays, hangar bays, anything that creates units or research, you're going to want to have that extra 15% bonus on. It's always a great thing, and you have to build the habitats anyway for your supply, so why not have the extra bonus? So you can see my opponent here is going to be going out, taking more camps. I'm a little inactive on the map here. I'm mostly just gearing up for my attack, and I'm ready for the attack here. So you can see this is a pretty modest attack. I've got 2 Lancers, that one's staying at home to go into the turret. I'm getting my machine shop now. You can see those additional Therium workers have gone over. Continue to make workers, and his army is heavily out of position here. So I'm going to use the Vulcan to bust open the trees, and I'm going to move in. A few mistakes here on my end. The first one was allowing the Vulcan to tank so much damage. Don't let your critical units, you can see he's tier 3 there, don't let your critical units tank heavy amounts of damage like that before the fight even really begins. The second mistake you can see here is I'm not playing front to back properly. You can see my Lancers are on the left, they're completely out of position. My Vulcan's kind of in the middle, and my Exos have nowhere to go. Look, they're stuck. They went. First, I started to go to the right to try and kite out that way, and then I decided to try and go to the left, but I couldn't commit that way because of the meat camps there and the fell hogs, and so I ended up just kind of being stuck and trapped, and without the ability to kite and play that proper front to back type of style where you have Lancers, Vulcan, Medtech, then your Exos, you're probably going to lose those straight up engagements. You need to be able to kite, you need to be able to take the engagement on your own terms, and I definitely wasn't able to do that there. I still think I have a fighting chance in this game. I've got a 3 base economy. Vanguard has very defensive tools, Bob Overcharge, the shield. In Frigate there was Promote, so I'm able to rank up my units pretty quickly as well. I'm not sure how during early access that's going to look, any of those abilities, but you can see I rank up a Atlas there, and again I've got that hangar bay making my evac so that I can have the combo. Ideally, if I was not in such a bad position, I'd be taking a 4th base here. You can see my Infernal opponent on the other side taking a 4th base there at the bottom location. I should be doing the same, but because I'm behind, I'm trying to get some damage off with this Atlas here. I almost lose the evac, you gotta be very careful with that, so I'm gonna promote it, give it a bit more HP. And you can also see now I'm using my solar habitat there on the 2nd base to boost evac production. I've got a buzzsaw turret there on the 3rd base, That's also something important to note. For third base, fourth base, anything past the third base, you want one sentry post. And you can put either a Lancer or an Exo in there to make a Buzzsaw turret or a Flak Cannon turret. That is your choice. I prefer the Buzzsaw turret versus Infernal specifically. It's stronger versus both biological and light units, and it's got that piercing, which is pretty strong versus Infernal. You can see I'm going to try and slip some units past to get a fourth base, but there's already a counterattack set up. And this is where I'm going to make mistake number 2. You can see I'm again not playing that front to back. My units are everywhere. My Lancers are running up in front. My Exos are getting on attacked solo on the right side there. You never want your Exos taking damage. I also don't have any medtechs with this army. And I'm not going to comment on the fact that I destroyed most of my Lancer's HP myself using the Atlas shots and the splash damage thereafter. It's not something I have to talk about. But you can see here, the Infernal tries to move into the third base, but immediately has to turn around because of that Buzzsaw turret. You can't break that, especially with a Bob Overcharge. There's no way they're going to be able to get anything good. They're just going to waste an army. Now, he swapped into Mass Spriggan. This is a tough one to identify. During Frigate, the Sentry Drone that Vanguard has available to them is terrible. 25 energy, it dies instantly, and it's not very good. So our scouting abilities, past making additional dogs, or scouts they're called, is pretty low. So I had no idea this was coming. Thankfully, I'm playing Bio, so I have some Exos already. And you can see I'm going to try and split my army here, which is a pretty, I'd say another wrong decision. He's going to bring his Spriggans back, and my Exos are now late to the fight. Spriggans are obviously faster than the Exos, so once again, I don't play front to back properly. I had my Lancers fighting without my Exos, and then now, there's no front line left for my Exos, and so it's only my squishy Exos and the Atlases in the far back, which are also taking some damage. I do not bad in the fight overall, all things considered, but realistically, these two mistakes paired, I'm not going to be able to keep up with a 2200 player, and so I have to GG out. A few things to do better is map presence. I was a little lacking on the map presence, and fighting front to back, and also keeping my army together a bit more. Could have done a bit better on the scouting for that fourth base, and trying to see the tech swap, but it's difficult to do everything. That first attack was really where things went wrong. But there's my secondary commentary. Thank you to everyone who left some feedback for me. I'm pretty out of my comfort zone trying to do this type of casting, or commentary I should say. But I got some positive results, so I'll continue to do so until I hear otherwise.